Yo, what's going on, fellas? It's your boy Huncho, back at it again with another trade recap. Gonna be going over the trades that I took today. I'm gonna try to go over them pretty quick, just to explain the entries and exits, and also mention the setups and what I was seeing to take these plays. All right. So first play we took was a 685 puts on SPY. This was at 934. All right. So let's go ahead and take a quick look. All right, at what we are watching. So this guys, as you guys can see, these are my levels. They're not fully updated. I update them every day, um, depending on how the the day was. Either I adjust some and such, which ones worked I keep, and yeah. So the main level that we had up here was the 687.23, and we had a level here, a 686.60. Okay, so we broke this level here, and my main watch was the pre-market levels. All right, now whenever you see a build up like this, guys, I always look for a morning flush. Okay, every time you see this, a rip, dip, and then rip again, I'm looking for some form of staircase movement. And if there's an area of support that is, there and it's showing, with showing a lot of strength, then we execute and look for more upside. But if there's weakness, then what we do is we don't fight the trend and we take a move to the downside. All right. So the main watch that I was looking at was the pre-market high and the pre-market low. And the pre-market low, guys, is not here yet. Let me just mark it right here. All right. So here's the pre-market low. Okay. Now let's make this yellow for the video. Okay. So we have pre-market low 686. All right. Now this is when I took the trade. We took it, I believe, in this range right here around 686.30. Mainly it was under this level and under VWAP, and we ripped under pre-market low. And I told everybody that I was going to remain in this trade until we hit 685 key zone, which was my target. All right, so we stayed in this play, and then we had a fat flush to the downside, and that hit around 30%, I believe. They were pretty expensive cons. They were like around 50 something. Oh no, they were like around 80 cents actually. So they were a little bit up there, but they moved pretty nicely and they paid really well. So that was the first play we took. It was pretty quick, and then we fully exited this play at 685 because that was our target. Although it did pay a lot. It would have paid a lot more if we would have held, but obviously we just played the target that we had and called it a day. All right. So then the second play we took was the 683 puts. This was at 1021, and I'll show you guys where I took this. So I took this, guys, because we finally closed under the key pivot, which was 685, even though we were in the key zone. But just looking at the reaction and the weakness under this key pivot, this is why I took this play. All right. Another thing is this. A lot of people were going in calls, and I'll tell you what's the mistake. All right. Why it wouldn't work. The reason why is because when we're holding above key zones, guys, especially when VIX is moving up, okay, that is not a signal for you to fade and just try to grab the bottom. Okay, you need some form of confirmation. You need either some a loss of a level, a key zone for you to be actually confident in a short setup, or a long setup on spot. All right, but since we were above this key zone on VIX that we had here, obviously we opened around here, and I told everybody to be, keep their eyes peeled for a move to the upside in case only if VIX wants to fill this gap. All right, this could have been a play here, and a lot of people may have gotten excited seeing this gap and seeing how we were in this key zone to just go ahead in a long spot, right? And those that don't know how VIX is, it's whenever VIX is down, SPY's up. Whenever VIX is up, SPY goes down. Okay, right? So it's the volatility index. This is basically the ticker we use to be able to help us, you know, uh, gain confidence or also like clarity on which direction the market is gonna go in. All right, so that's with VIX, and we were moving to the upside. So this is why I was not looking for calls at the moment. This is when I got in calls here. Okay, and I'll show you guys. Where do we get in calls? 683 puts. This was at 1021. All right, if we look at it on VIX, this was right here. Okay, so right around here, we saw this weakness on VIX here, and then we had this nice yank to the downside. Also here as well on SPY. Let me go back on SPY. There we go. Okay, so we had this nice yank to the downside, and this is what paid us that 70%. We yanked the majority of our position there, but we stayed under the key zone under 685. And I told everybody, I even told everybody in my Discord about the re-entry. If you're in my Discord, I told everybody about the re-entry right here, the retest. If you didn't get in the first round, and this one was a way better setup, you got paid a lot more. If your entry was here, that way you would have a lot more confidence in holding in play than getting in here and potentially losing your gains or just giving a lot of it back in case this would have fully reversed, right? So this gave us a nice fat move down to our key level of 683.60, even moved under, and it went all the way down, and I held this all the way down to 682.21, which is the target that I told everybody that we were going to be watching for. And yep, this is what happened. We moved all the way to the downside, and this paid. And look at this key level did. It was a great ticker. You could have grabbed calls here, and this would have paid to the upside. All right, so I'll explain. Also, we played AMD. AMD was a small play of ours. This is in my swings chat. I don't always swing these plays, but this channel right here is what I would use to explain some entries on some further expiration options. So let's look at AMD. So the reason why I got an AMD, guys, was from this key level, this 2292 here. Now we did rip above it after hours there. So if you guys see these strong rejections here, right, this is showing me that there's a lot of weakness. All right, and also looking at it in this perspective here, you guys are seeing this bull flag forming there. You guys can see. So this could be a potential area where AMD could see some downside. Now, obviously, we did get some news on Nvidia that that's going to impact that also AMD. So this is why it's moving up after hours. Now we'll just have to see how we react here at 227. This could be another potential entry for a rejection if it wants to reject, or if it reclaims above, then we're probably going to see some nice movement to the upside here, some continuation here. So that was AMD. This went over 30%, so it was a pretty good return. It was almost around like $50 per contract. So can't go wrong with that. You got to make sure you take your gains. And then we also played calls again. So we finally grabbed calls, and this is why we grabbed calls here. This is at 1247. If we look on VIX, look guys, all right, this was at 12, all right, right here, okay. Once you see this reaction off of these key levels, look at this rejection here. If I would have seen this, I didn't have VIX on my chart, on my screen, but at the moment, but if I would have seen this earlier, that bottom would have been ours. But either way, SPY was consolidating a bit off that bounce, so we did get in around here. I told everybody, it would have been a lot better if you would have just waited for the 9 EMA reclaim for you to grab the calls. So just getting up here, you could have grabbed this candle and right away up, and these went I think around 170% or something. I sold my position at 150, but you guys can see it even hit VWAP. So always make sure that if you're under VWAP and you're in a long position, make sure you do not underestimate VWAP and consider it as an area to trim or to take profits, because that can definitely send SPY the market back down. All right, especially if it wants to remain under VWAP. Okay, so calls right here we called this position at 1247, and this went over 150%. That's how we got the play on SPY there, guys, because we had confirmation from VIX, rejection off a key level, and obviously when we were rejecting the next target was going to be back in this key zone. Obviously we didn't hit all the way down, but we did get a nice play on calls there, guys. So that's really it. That's how I kind of play this, guys. The best thing I can tell you guys is to don't underestimate the power of screen time. This allows you to be able to recognize patterns and get a pattern recognition and price action experience as well. So you can kind of understand the personalities of what the market's going to do. I know this is FOMC week. A lot of people had very low expectations for today, but there was definitely some good opportunities that could have been taken, and I know many of you did, and we definitely got paid. So that's all it is, guys. If you guys have any questions on how I use VIX or SPY, you can just comment below or just shoot me a message in the Discord, and I'll get back to you. Till the next one, guys. Peace.